Hey guys, welcome back to a Spellweaver video. Burdis here. And so for this video I'm just going to be showing off the Amalric Decay deck that I was using in the last video. I know there's some people out there that just enjoy Decay decks, and I don't see anyone really building them this way. Everyone seems to stick to the Wisdom version with this subordinate, so divide, touch, subordinate. So just gonna show it off and give my reasoning for the cards here, and yeah, let's get it played, because I hate void touch subordinates and the parallel. Well, no, I hate parallel evolution. That's what I hate. But so I tend to not touch it. I will use it. Just yeah, doesn't mean I have to love the card. Let's see. Anyway, for this deck, Amalric is the hero of choice because he is very good at making sure the likes of a Deckbuild Incarnate or a Thought Devourer can actually swing at their face or make free trades. He this is mainly against control, like, so against the minion it's a little bit easier to get the swings in because they can't assassinate these usually, but the Soul Flames is a problem at the beginning. But against Rage, sometimes you're just better off holding the Thought Devourer and maybe playing a Harpy so they use some removal on it if you can next turn, and then when you have 4 mana, play this with a Protect so that at least it can try swing in. If they have a Fury or a Fireball, well, but at the same time, it's what you gotta do. But he does help a lot. Cavalry Field Captain. Again, this is just to buff their speed to make sure that they can hit face and get that decay in. He's just strong as well, like +1 HP also, I mean +1 attack means, you know, you're decaying an extra card as well with him, technically, so that's kind of handy, because I have lost games where they've only had 1 card left and it has made me sad. So that can make a difference. The +1 HP and attack, so overall just normal cavalry thing, you know, he just makes everything, you know, free removal, free. He's just a super strong card if you're playing Order. Soul Projection is good in this deck because you can have huge Deathbounds that just nuke the enemy's field, or even Thought Devourer with 1 emblem on it doing 8 damage does a lot, especially against like aggro, because the like elves, like ones with little weak, and soldiers, you know, you can do a big clear. Against zombies, it can still do a lot of damage, but they have some bulky things in there, like the Abhorrent Ghoul, a little less effective. I only have 2 of them, but yeah, it's because you don't want your hand filled. You want to sacrifice everything, so it's just handy for that 1 or 2 occasions. Instill life for later game. Instilling your vultures, more decay, helps as it is do loads of burn, also brings back Thought Devourers if you need, and Cavalry Field Captains to just squeeze something past if you have it on the field and you just need to get that big hit in. Noxious Fumes, just early game removal, making sure things aren't aggroing you down. It's as simple as that. We also have the Symbol of Decays here. That's why there's only 3 Noxious Fumes. Usually I run 4, but for Symbol of Decay, then even though it's not as good as Fumes in general, just in this deck it has better synergy. Summoning the Enchained Soul can be nice. It comes up every once in a while, depending on your situation, but yeah. The Weakness Emblem, it's a 1 damage, and or even just lowering that attack down is just nice. And it's an instant, which it has over Noxious Fumes. And helps Decay, which triggers Azarus and gets you towards your win condition. It's nice. Flash of Delirium. Each hero decays 5 cards, draw a card. So it's as simple as it looks. It's just decay. It just straight up decays the enemy. The problem with this is it also does it to you, which I'm not a fan of, because sometimes you see your reanimates go in there or your instill lives, and I'm like, it just makes me sad. But yeah, it's got to be done. Just cycling as well as handy. So if you've just 2 leftover mana, play that at the end of the enemy's turn. You know, pretend you have some sort of instant holding, and then yeah, just play that. 5 cards is a big chunk though. It really helps you towards getting them finished. And the fact it's 5, as it's out, you get a nice choice. There's a good chance of you hitting something with high mana cost in comparison to some of these others, like Symbol of Decay is only 3, so you're nearly doubling the amount you get to choose from there. Infernal Vultures, just solid in any Decay deck. You play it, instant effect, so they get no choice, they're going to lose it, and you get a 1/1 on the board. Also in matchups with Decay decks, these things are key because you can keep pumping things back in your own deck. Also, Vultures is against control. It will eat some of the cards from their hand for you because they have to remove it. Otherwise, you're just gonna start making them big, and they have to deal with it before it's a problem. But you don't really care if it's gone. It's not your. You've done what it needs to do. It's done what it needs to do. It decays, and when it's in your graveyard, it actually just helps if you draw an instill life then and you start decaying another 8 cards between the 2 that you resummon. Thought Devourer gains a Might Emblem every time. You deal damage to the enemy hero, decays their cards instead of actually dealing life damage. It's good. I end up using this more than all the other creatures really. Bloodwitch Harpy and Thought Devourer seems to be the moment this deck starts to really start to move. People seem to underestimate this. I don't know. Sometimes they leave it thinking it's not a problem, and then it just grows. Or then, but because it's 2 speed as well, the CFC helps it just get a hit in there, and then it starts building these Might Emblems, and then it becomes a problem. It's very weak to Fireball though, because you need 2 emblems on it, which can be a problem. But yeah, it does what it needs to do. Bloodwitch Harpy is just very solid at controlling aggro decks. Always will be. There's the only thing it'll sacrifice is your vultures in this deck, which, like I said, they've done their job and you want to kind of instill them. It's also making me wonder if I need that other card that summons 1 2-mana card from the graveyard. The one with effects like Prayer, I don't remember. Solemn Prayer? That's the word. Yeah, Solemn Prayer. But maybe not. But that could also get Cavalries. And, no, I don't see where it would fit. But yeah, it's an idea. Bloodwitch Harpy, yeah, controls everything. Just keeps everything, the enemy's board down. Not very good against control decks though. So either it's super strong or else it does pretty much nothing. Deadbound Incarnate, I have 4 of them in here, even though you want to play them later. Because, well, if Flash of Delirium sends some to the graveyard and stuff, it can be a bit saddening, because I'd rather use my Reanimates on an Azarhus. Deadbound Incarnate here can get huge, so you want to play him later, and you want him to use him as a win condition. Like, when you play this guy, you want to make sure the enemy's afraid of losing in the next 1 or 2 turns. So the main problem with this card though, like, Decay is meant to be good against control. You're getting rid of the removal and everything, right? Except against Order Rage, they only have 4 Phoenix, 4, like, generally, like, the run of the mill standard deck of it only has 4 Phoenix, 4 Battlescarred Elder, and then the Reincarnation Spirits, 4 of those. But those guys, the Reincarnation Spirits, get sent back into their deck after they keep coming out of their graveyard, so they might as well just not be in the deck for you. And so the max you can get to is 8/8 if you've decayed all of their creatures. So it's a bit of a, it's bad like that. So you can kind of just play him at 4 HP if you have to, but also at the same time, if you manage to decay even 2 Phoenixes and a Battlescarred, you've gotten rid of most of their decks of creatures. So it's a confusing one. That deck is a pain to go against. But yeah, this is also my own weakness, so I'm just not very good at playing against control compared to, but I'm much better at controlling aggro than I am at getting true control, because I like to play these mid-rangey kind of decks. Yeah, so generally very good, but just in that particular, if you're against something with no creatures in it, then it's a big problem. But you can just send it back with Divine Offering if that's the case. Reanimate just to get whatever you need, mostly Azarus because she's swift and amazing. But yeah, Azarus is the main win condition to the deck. Usually, before you even decay the enemy's deck to 0, you will probably just burn their face. She removes things from boards. She just keeps the enemy clear. They'll take either damage to the face. They'll lose cards from their deck. She just kind of picks them apart, and the Swift is very helpful for that. Usually I'd play her with 5 mana instead of 4, so she can use her ability. So whenever the enemy hero decays cards, you may pay 1. If you do, select one of those cards. Azarus deals damage equal to that card's mana cost to an enemy, creature, or hero. Can be very good. If you're against an aggro deck, they'll have loads of low cost cards and she won't deal too much damage, but it's not a problem because this deck is good at controlling aggro and you'll probably end up winning. Against control, then you start hitting big cards that cost 4 mana and stuff, and you can do a lot of burn to their face. Like, it seems like nothing. You're like, oh, but she could do 4 damage anyway without that effect. Yeah, but she triggers every time you decay anything else. So the more mana you have, and a control game, they're probably gonna, it's gonna go on a little bit longer. Yeah, she can do a lot of damage in one turn, like a lot of burst. So if you already have an Azarus on the field protected by Amalric, and you know you can instill 2 Infernals next turn, like, you're going to get 2 burns, big burns. Could be up to 8 damage. Then she attacks, that's 12 damage if you're lucky. But usually, let's be real, you'll probably hit like a 2 mana, a 3 mana, and a 4 mana, something like that, and then that's still a good 7 damage from one card. And then, yeah, then it also leaves some problems of, where later in the game, vultures can get big, start putting things in your deck. Yeah. So, for the shrines, Tower of Vantress is key because it's a tricolor deck. Even though it's only one Azarus in here, like doing the rage. You can probably justify putting a Dragonfire or something in here, depending on if there was a very strong artifact deck or something going around. So you'd be able to do some adjustments like that, which I think is nice. But this helps bring the whole consistency to your deck. You need to DO every turn. So there's tons of corruption shrines in here because you need to start on corruption, and these are always what you just cycle for your mana. You just go through. So you don't care. Start off corruption shrine. Yep. Then use it for just drawing cards and your mana. Just 3 order shrines because you need to go up order second. And this is just in case you can't somehow fish a Tower of Vantress in time with your Divine Offering, because it has happened before where 3 of them were like in the one Divine Offering, and it even happened like very late in the game, and it was a nightmare. This was before I had adjusted the deck. It was only when I was experimenting. But yeah, then I put 3 order shrines in here and it helps a lot. 1 rage shrine because it's only for the Azarus really, and then you need to go up your 3rd level for instills. But yeah, it's just to be safe, because you never know if you flash a Delir. You never know. It's just so you have it. Even if you have order shrines and a rage shrine in your hand, always spend your corruption first. Always. Just get it out of your hand. This is what helps get everything played on curve, and it works. And now that it's been adjusted like this, it pretty much works every game. It's very rare that I get screwed. No different than any other deck, basically. Yeah, so that's everything about this deck, just so you guys know my thoughts behind it. It's nothing too crazy, but it's also it works. Like, I have gotten like turn 7, turn 8 decay wins with this deck. It works. It does its job. It's a lot faster than the Void Touch subordinate, in my opinion, and it wins that matchup as well because Azarus can just sit on the board and their own Void Touch gets them killed. Also, if they lose their parallel evolutions to you, they have no way to do things. Like, they really get stuck. They rely too much on that one strategy, basically. Well, this deck goes for HP and deck decay. It gives you 2 win conditions. Yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like if you did, it would help. Yeah, if you just want to give it a try, feel free. It's quite fun. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. Bye 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 bye.